We are live today to talk all about the latest in Bachelor Nation. As always, I'm your host, Zachary Reality, and today I am joined by Avery Grooms and Gabby Gonta. How are you guys doing today? Are you ready to dish on all of the Bachelor Nation tea?
Yes, ready as always for some tea.
Gabby, how about you? Ready to dish on all of the tea? Well, let's kick things off talking about our favorite, and I say that loosely, Bachelor couple, Matt and Rachael. Matt is revealing the ultimatum that Rachael gave him in order to commit to their relationship. Matt went on the Pomp podcast and said that Rachael told him, if you're going to make this work, let's do it. But if you're not going to make it work, I'm going to let you do your own thing. And that was the push that Matt needed in order to solidify his relationship with Rachael. He said that there were many issues in their relationship and that they did break up after the final rose, which we saw, but the last couple of months they've been growing together stronger and stronger, and Rachael has stuck by his side through all of the drama with a positive attitude, and that is one of the many things he loves about her. And the couple has also spoken publicly about moving in together soon. We have a clip from the podcast that Matt was on, so I want to show you guys that clip and then get your reactions.
It was honestly a commitment that we had made to each other that we were going to work on the relationship, and there came a point in time where it was evident that my working on the relationship looked different than Rachael's because I wasn't really honoring that commitment that I made to working on our relationship, and it was just a come to Jesus meeting that I had with Rachael, where she's like, if you're gonna make this work, then let's do it. But if you're not gonna make it work, then I'm gonna let you do your own thing. And that's really all I needed.
Is that an ultimatum?
It was an ultimatum that I needed.
Wow. I really love the sound of Matt's voice. But Avery, what do you think about this?
I feel like right now they're happier than ever. I mean, relationships are a lot of hard work, and I've said this before, but I feel like they went through the hardest stages at the beginning and were able to come out of that way stronger. And I feel like he's referring to the kind of Grace drama. I'm going to assume that's when this ultimatum happened. And I think that was just like the final push they needed to solidify the relationship, to start taking it more seriously. And it looks like it worked because they just seem as happy as ever.
Yeah. What about you, Gabby?
Yeah, I agree. I think this clip from the podcast is really telling to how Matt feels about her, because it seemed like there was a moment where, when things were pretty rocky after the show and while they were trying to figure things out, where she ended up coming to him and saying, you're going to lose me for good if we don't work this out and if you don't make me a priority. And so I think in that moment, like he was saying, that's when he really realized that he needs to either fully commit to her or not, and not be in this, middle wishy-washy type space with them. So I think once they were both just fully on board with that, because they did have such a strong connection, and I'm sure he didn't want to lose her, I think once they were both on the same page with that, then it seems like that's when things started to get a little bit better between them.
Yeah, it seems like their relationship is on the right track. They seem more in love than ever. They're talking about possibly even moving in together. But the one issue I have with Matt, and let me know if you guys agree with this, is his beard. I just feel like it's too long, and it's just like taking away from how attractive and handsome he is. But maybe that's just my personal preference. I'm just not into this long beard. Are you guys into this beard? And what do you guys think about ultimatums in relationships? Do you think that they work? Because in this case, it seems like Rachael's ultimatum worked for Matt. He gave her that commitment that she asked for. And it could be a great way for relationships to really, take to terms, whatever I'm trying to say. Like, ultimatums are the way that relationships come to terms with what they are. Are you following me here, Avery?
I'm following. I have to
Thank
say,
you.
I hate the beard. I hate it so much. I thought when he just showed up at the final rose, like he was just going through something and he let it grow out, whatever. But now it's been way too long, and I understand like a lot of the guys are doing it now, but like you said, Zach, it just takes away. And If I was Rachael, I would be pissed. I'd be like, get rid of that. That would be my ultimatum, honestly. I can't stand it. He was a good-looking guy. I mean, he still is, but like he's kind of playing himself with the beard. And as far as ultimatums go, I think it kind of depends on what it is and where people are in the relationship, if that's going to work or not. If it's something like serious, like what Rachael said, I feel like they were at the point in the relationship where that needed to happen. It was like, are we going to take this seriously or are we going to end it? And that's what gave Matt the extra push to get where they are today. So depending on if it's serious or not, I think an ultimatum could work, but it depends on the people and what's going on.
Yeah, 100% agree. I don't hate the beard as much as you guys do, apparently. It's definitely a lot. I think, if he shaved it a little bit more and it was kind of like in between, that might be like a perfect sweet spot. I definitely, preferred how he looked on the show without it completely. And I am surprised that now that him and Rachael are fully together, that he still has it, because everyone was joking that, oh, he has to be single if he has this major beard, because no girl would want that. So I am surprised he still is holding on to it, but we'll see how long it lasts, if it lasts into the summer or not. In terms of ultimatums, totally agree with both of you guys. I think it's tough because if you have things that are going on in your mind about the relationship and you want to get them out there, and you're just not going to be happy unless you kind of agree to the same terms and you're on the same page. Like, ultimatums definitely help two people get on the same page, because you might not be happy in the relationship otherwise. And then you obviously don't want to keep moving forward within a relationship that is not healthy, and, one person is less happy than the other person, or just basically you're not on the same page. So, and definitely in this case, it worked. I could see in other cases, maybe it's not a great idea, but I'm glad that it worked for these two.
Yeah, ultimatums just give me so much anxiety, and that's why I'm like chomping over my words here. So I just cannot with these ultimatums. And I will say that Rachael probably likes the beard if she's with Matt. Otherwise, she would have made him shave it off. I feel like all girls have that power over their man. Like, he would shave it if she didn't like it. But speaking of other relationships, Bachelor relationships, we're going to talk a little bit about the Peter and Kelley breakup. But before we do that, I want to remind you guys, everyone listening, to subscribe to our Shared News YouTube channel and ring the bell so you never miss out on any future videos. And Peter Weber is finally sharing his side of the story in the breakup between him and Kelley. He is going on as many of you, Kelley went last week and shared more details on the reasoning behind their dramatic breakup. Kelley said that Peter was immature, and apparently he is way too into Pokemon, still likes partying and drinking, and that he didn't respect her wishes of waiting an extra couple weeks before putting up the breakup post on Instagram. Peter heard what Kelley put out there and took to his podcast, Bachelors in the City, to share his side of the story and to give context of Kelley's claims. Peter said that Kelley going on that podcast was her being calculated, disingenuous, and reaching for a headline. He also provides context in the fact that he loves Pokemon because he has stock in Pokemon, and that Kelley actually liked Pokemon too, maybe a little bit more than she was leading on. And the reason he posted the breakup on New Year's is because he wanted to get it all out there so that he can go into 2021 with a fresh new start. This is kind of providing some context. Peter is responding to what Kelley said on the Chicks in the Office podcast last week. But after hearing Peter's side of the story, does this change your perception a little bit? Because I know we were all kind of on Team Kelley last week. And what is your thoughts on this whole Pokemon saga? Gabby, I want to start with you first.
This is definitely interesting. I think it's tough with boyfriend girlfriend situations because they were together for a while. Like, I'm sure Kelley was into Pokemon too, but mostly because Peter was, and she wanted to do things with him that he liked, and so he's kind of pinpointing that against her now. But the truth is, I'm sure she was just kind of doing it for him. It did seem like they, in a lot of their TikToks, they kind of had fun and were pretty relaxed and laid back. And Peter, we've talked about Peter being pretty immature in the past, so I'm not surprised to hear that she said that, and that he's kind of coming back and trying to be like, oh, well, it's because I have stock in it. I don't know. It seems like two perfect answers from him, sort of, because he needed to say something, because what she said on the podcast was pretty crazy. So I don't know. I think, the height of their relationship was also during the peak of quarantine, when there just wasn't really a lot going on. And so now that more stuff's going on, maybe that made Peter like want to start partying and drinking again and kind of just not giving enough attention to Kelley when she had been used to having it for so many months. So I think that might have also been a reason too.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I mean, personally, I don't like Pokemon, and I'm sure that Kelley was just standing there cheering him on about it. But deep down, she hated it. And that, like you said, Gabby, that's why it's coming out now. And having stock in it does make it more mature. But at the end of the day, if you are just sitting around playing Pokemon and video games, that does kind of fall under the category of immature. And we all know Peter is very immature. And I think he posted like the breakup on New Year's basically so he could go out on New Year's and have a good time. That's what it looks like to me. But at the end of the day, my opinion about Peter doesn't really change. I mean, Kelley definitely could have handled this differently, but I still think he's immature. I still wouldn't want to date him, and I still think she could do better. So that's that.
You know, I understand the whole New Year's posting thing. Like, I will definitely give him props to that because it's a new year. You want to start fresh. But the fact that he called her disingenuous, reaching for a headline, calculated by going on the Chicks in the Office podcast, that is where I thought that was just kind of inappropriate because he did speak, you know, highly of her in this podcast, you know, on his podcast. But the fact that he started the podcast off calling her those names, I just didn't think was really mature, and it really shows why Kelley got out of there because clearly she was doing a lot better. And Peter gets into more detail about the breakup, saying regardless of all the messiness and the back and forth, he still wishes the best for Kelley. He says that Kelley was the best relationship he's ever had and that he will root for her regardless of what went down between them. He says Kelley has a great family and group of friends and that she is so much more than just a girl from The Bachelor, and that he wishes she would focus more on talking about that and her personal life instead of the breakup and dragging him through the mud. And even more, Peter actually did try and contact Kelley a few weeks ago to clear the air before she went on the podcast, and Kelley left him on red. What are your thoughts on reaching back to an ex? You know, these guys, Peter and Kelley, they weren't talking for a few weeks. So why would he kind of reach out to her? What closure do they need? And why didn't she answer him? Is Peter trying to save face? Or does Peter have a point? Avery, what do you think about that?
I'm sure if he heard she was going on the podcast, that was probably half of the reason why he wanted to reach out to her. And for him to even call her those things, you know, people, especially in Bachelor Nation, they have to go on podcasts to share their sides of the story. They have to go on to clear their air. That's just the nature of it. And, you know, he's back here doing the same thing in response to what she said. So it kind of goes both ways, but I don't know. I never have been a big Peter fan, so it's hard to like not take Kelley's side, but you know, she did what she had to do, and that was clear her name. And Peter felt like he was being dragged, but I think she was just being honest. Like, he didn't like what she had to say. But at the end of the day, I don't think it's good to reach out to an ex. They even mentioned, I think he mentioned on his podcast that they had broken up before and then they saw each other. No one knew about it. And then they realized it wasn't going to work after that. So that just shows that they were done. So he probably shouldn't be reaching out. And for what? Probably just to save himself before she goes on Chicks in the Office.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. All of this really seems like Peter's just kind of being selfish here. Like the fact that he posted about the breakup before Kelley was ready. It's like when you're in a relationship, you really have to respect the other person's wishes, especially when you're a public figure, and you kind of need to agree about, you know, what's the narrative here? What are we trying to say? We need to be on the same page about that. So I feel like there's a big lack of communication between them, and they were handling it pretty immaturely. I'm sure Kelley was just super over him like at this point, but it kind of makes sense that he tried to reach out and clear things up, or at least get on the same page, because I don't know, it's tough. Like, I haven't been a Bachelor couple, but it seems like there should be extra communication like during a breakup or during a relationship, because you know, you're just like, everything that you do and everything you put out there online is going to get pressed and get noticed. So I feel like there's another layer of, you know, issues that go on there, but it does seem like a little bit of back and forth with them here.
Yeah, a lot of back and forth because this relationship ended 5 months ago. So that is what Peter wanted to talk about on his podcast in retaliation to Kelley going on the Chicks in the Office podcast last week, is that why is this breakup still playing out in the press? That was kind of Peter's whole message on this. And he was really just accusing Kelley of wanting to create this headline for herself. So I have no idea. I think that they both finally said their sides. There's really is nothing else left to say unless Kelley goes on another podcast and retaliates from Peter. And then we'll still be talking about this a whole year later. So I have no idea. We're definitely going to put this to bed. I think all of us on the panel are kind of siding a little bit more on Kelley's side, but I do still have some respect for Peter. And I want to remind you guys to like this video and leave a comment, because we will be finishing off with a Q&A at the end of the video. And while we're on the topic of Kelley, and we know it did not work between Kelley and Peter, that does not mean she won't find love with anyone else. Now, Peter did actually mention that Kelley might be seeing a new guy in Florida. So she's already moved on, but someone else from Bachelor Nation still has an eye on her. And that person is Bennett from Claire and Tayshia's season. Bennett is aware that Kelley might have something casual with another guy, but that isn't going to stop his persistence in pursuing Kelley. Bennett says that he and Kelley keep in touch regularly and that they've even been on a date once before. We've heard Bennett talk about Kelley so many times over the past few months in the press. I know that he's hoping that she goes to paradise. Do you guys think that Bennett is being is he being persistent, or is he being a little bit too forward? And where do you think Kelley even likes Bennett, or is this just like a one-way kind of relationship in Bennett's mind? Avery, what are your thoughts?
I mean, it's Bennett. I could see him being way too persistent, and then that kind of turns into him being clingy. I mean, if Kelley wants mature, he's mature. Peter's immature, and Bennett's the total opposite of him. But at the end of the day, I feel like she wouldn't be that into him. But what do I know? But I'm sure this guy is not giving up on her until they maybe go on a few more dates. That's very nice of her. But I'd like to hear more of her side of the story in regards to Bennett. But I'd love to see them on Paradise together. Like, I would love to see that all unfold on Paradise. I think that'd be really good.
Yeah, I think so too. I think Bennett, as we've seen, like even on the season he was on, he like does not let things go. So I feel like he is going to pursue her until, you know, she bites back a little bit. And maybe from Kelley's perspective, I feel like she wouldn't want to date someone in Bachelor Nation just because that's going to cause so much, you know, so many more eyes on her and what they're doing, and if she's dating Bennett, blah blah blah. I feel like she's gonna want to date non-Bachelor Nation people right now. But it's always nice, you know, to have somebody who is kind of so obsessed with you that is pursuing you, and in the headlines every week about Bennett still likes Kelley, still trying to be with Kelley. So especially after coming off of a relationship with Peter where it seems like he was very immature, kind of, you know, disinterested in making Kelley happy and pursuing other girls or whatever was going on. But that's for that reason I could see why Bennett might be like a flattering type of person to be into her.
Yeah, I mean, in one way, it's kind of like endearing. You know, I definitely want to be with someone that wants to be with me and lets that known publicly. But in another way, it's just like, relax. Like, you've been talking about Kelley for the past like 4 months. Like, why are you waiting for Paradise to date her? Like, keep asking her on dates. And if she doesn't want to go on a date with you and she's too busy, that means she does not have time for you. So I don't really know where Kelley stands on this. I'm with you, Avery. I want to hear more. And Bennett apparently knows where Kelley stands, because regardless of what we might assume, Bennett did tell Us Weekly that Kelley appreciated his boldness, that he may possibly hope to see her in Bachelor in Paradise this summer, but he cannot disclose any further details about that. He also opened up to Us Weekly about his new loafer brand that he's partnered with, the brand Del Toro. And this just seems very up Bennett's alley to create a loafer brand. So how do you guys feel about Bennett's new business venture? And what about these couples talking before Paradise? Because if Bennett and Kelley are talking, when we get to Paradise, Bennett better like go right up to Kelley and not play around with any other girls if he's going to keep talking about it. You know what I'm saying? Avery, what do you think about that?
Yeah, if they were talking before, that basically just means they're already set up once they get there to Paradise, which makes me want to see it even more. So I hope she goes on. But part of me feels like you said, Gabby, she doesn't really want to be involved in this Bachelor stuff anymore. But if she likes Bennett that much, maybe she'll be on there. But in regards to the loafers, this totally suits him. I'm just not surprised by this. You know, he means business, and then to choose loafers, I feel like it's so fitting. Would you wear them, Zach? There's some pretty cute ones. There's a lot of options, but would you wear them?
I would definitely try them out. There was a couple on the website I was looking at. You know, one of them looked kind of cute. I've never wore loafers before, but I don't see why not. You know, there was this whole, I was telling you guys about this whole fight that was on Becca Kufrin's reunion a few years ago about these loafers with like this guy Christian and Jordan talking about high waters versus loafers. Like this whole scandal. It seems like the fights the guys get on in The Bachelorette are just so funny. So this is just so up Bennett's alley. You know, I'm just not the biggest fan of Bennett, so I don't know if I would wear his loafers. But if he goes to Paradise and changes his storyline around, then I definitely wear them. But he better give me a coupon code. Okay, how about that?
Yeah.
Gabby, what are your thoughts on all? Like that these couples are talking before Paradise, or is it just kind of, is it giving us like more reason to watch the show, or does it kind of ruin the concept?
For all of us who know everything that's going on behind the scenes in Bachelor Nation, I think it's fun to try to follow these new couples that could possibly be, you know, flourishing, and then getting to see them on the show would be very interesting. I think the last season of Bachelor in Paradise, a little bit of that was going on, where it was like Blake who visited Hannah, and they were like, "Ooh, we're gonna meet in Paradise. Maybe that'll be a thing." So there's a little bit of that, but this year there's definitely been a lot of Bachelor Nation mingling behind the scenes. So yeah, I could see Kelley and Bennett definitely hitting it off down on the beach, or any of these other couples who've done it before. And of course, the new loafer line, I'm not surprised at all. This is totally perfect for Bennett. If anyone was going to do this, it would definitely be him, and wishing the best for his new business.
For sure. I want to see Noah, his arch nemesis, wear the loafer line. And I actually want to see Noah and Bennett both in Bachelor in Paradise so they can squash their beef. That's always my favorite when there's a new season of Paradise and like two of the contestants who hated each other just come in and like squash their beef, or just like the beef starts all over again. So definitely looking forward to Bachelor in Paradise. Could never forget the stagecoach saga that was Blake Hortzman. So I think that we're actually going to get more drama in Paradise because of all these pre-existing relationships, and they all seem to be happening in New York City. So let's definitely take that into Paradise. But before we get into Paradise, there is this season of The Bachelorette that everyone keeps forgetting about because we're just so excited for Paradise. And there is a new trailer that dropped for Katie's season of The Bachelorette, and we are going to react to it. The trailer includes Katie kissing multiple guys, a surprise guest from Blake Moynes, an ambulance, and a meltdown by our very own Bachelorette, who is threatening to go home and leave the show. Let's break this down. We got a bunch of clips to get to, and I want to show you guys the first clip of Katie, you know, canoodling with some of the men.
I knew you were pretty, but you were like pretty.
Let the journey begin.
Okay, Tayshia and Caitlin, let the journey begin. In the words of Chris Harrison, let the journey begin. Are they going to be reciting quotes all season long, Gabby, that Chris used to say?
Yes, as well as coming up with their own sassy, fun, girly ones as well. That first guy was a little cringy, but he was cute. He looked very nervous. So I'm wondering what the other guys are going to do coming out of the limo.
What do you want to see from Tayshia and Caitlin, Avery? Do you want to see them like say these famous lines, let the journey begin?
Well, I wonder if they're going to say the most dramatic season ever. You know, we always hear that one, like every season's the most dramatic. I think it would just be funny if they said that. But I agree with you, Gabby. I think we'll get a little bit of the old and some new stuff from them. It'll be more refreshing and more current, I think.
Yeah, maybe they can create some of their own lines that might like go viral and stick. But I do want to see them try and do like the Chris Harrison stuff, like, ladies, this is the final rose tonight. And have Taitlin, that is the new ship name, Caitlin and Tayshia, Taitlin. I want to have them say everything at the same time. You know how they just did Let the Journey Begin? Gosh. Let's have them go in, ladies, it's the final rose, like every single time. And Caitlin is such a comedian, so I think we're going to get a lot of laughs But this is the clip that I want to show you guys. Katie is kissing multiple men, as one should as the Bachelorette. So let's take a look. Let's see which guys she was kissing. Maybe we can point some of them out.
Bring on the mess. You know I want it. I'm gonna get it. Is this a dream? I don't.
She looks happy. They look like some really hot guys. Avery, is there any guy that you already can tell might be a front runner? Can you tell by the faces? I know we don't know them too well yet.
I could barely see the face because they're so into their makeout sessions, which is good. Love to see that, you know. It's probably been a long
that like
time
a
coming
rainy
after
scene?
quarantine. Yeah, they're literally kissing in the rain, it looks like.
How
That's
I
poetic.
love that, though.
How many guys do you think
I
Katie
know,
will
right?
kiss on night one, Gabby?
Ooh, we should honestly start like a bet game with this.
Yes.
Mhm.
I'm gonna say 5.
5 on night one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Because like some are gonna
Okay.
like be bold and like kiss her first,
Yeah. Well, I know she's going to kiss the cat guy because we saw that in a previous clip. But if she kisses 5, you heard it here first from Gabby Conta herself. But you know what? If I was the Bachelorette, I probably would make out with the entire mansion. Like, I would not take a guy home without at least making out. Avery, do you like that strategy as well? Or are you going to like be a little bit more reserved?
Of course. No, you always have to test drive before you buy it. You know, what if they're a bad kisser? Then they should just leave, you know? So might as well.
Yeah.
I feel like, what if she breaks the record for like kissing the most guys on the first night? Maybe.
I
Yeah.
could see that.
Well, I think 5 would be the record. Usually they kiss 1 or 2. But if it happens, Gabby Conta said it first. There also is a familiar
Yes.
face coming back. You know, we've seen familiar faces before with Heather Martin and Nick Viall, but this time we have Blake Moynes, who was on Tayshia and Claire's season, and he is making an appearance on Katie's season. How will it go for them? We have a clip to check out.
Oh my God. It's Blake.
Oh my God. What do you think her first reaction is going to be, Avery?
Probably like, what are you doing here? Oh my God. I don't know. Like, this always happens, this narrative. So I just wonder if he shows up on night one or if they bring him in later, you know, how they love to do that. Because this doesn't look like night one at all. So I'm going to assume he just shows up, and then the guys are definitely going to be heated about that.
Oh, for
Yeah,
sure.
I think-
It looks like it might be night 2 or 3. Like, it seems like it'll be pretty early on. What were you saying, Gabby?
Yeah, I think she's gonna be like kind of blushing and like excited because I think she thinks he's cute, and it seems like they kind of go far together from other like things that we've talked about or read. So I think she's gonna be really excited.
But do you think, Gabby, they had a pre-existing like relationship? Do you think they may have DM'd before and she might have gave him some indication to show up? Or is he just like showing up out of nowhere, kind of like Heather Martin did with Matt James?
I could definitely see them having talked before they asked her to be the Bachelorette, because that might be the reason either he wanted to come on the show or producers were like, hey, let's bring Blake in because there might be something here.
That's fair. But do you think it will go well for him, Avery? Do you think that the guys will accept him, or do you think it's going to just cause a lot of turmoil and then he'll be like iced out of the house? He'll be like the villain.
I think there's going to be some of those guys who are like just nice to him off the bat because they're good people. But then there's going to be the other guys that definitely have a problem with it. They don't want to see any old faces on their season. But I feel like as far as him and Katie goes, I feel like he could go far. I could definitely see them, being somewhat compatible. I don't know if he'd make it to the end, but I definitely think he would be more of a front runner early on. So that's just another reason for the guys to probably not like him.
Yeah, I think it will work out for him if the earlier he comes. If he comes on night 1, which it doesn't look like he is, then he can like really integrate to the group. But if he's showing up like a few episodes in, it's just not a good look, because then all the guys are already going to have their bromance going on and he'll just come in as an outsider. We have another clip of one of the guys saying something really, really funny, and I'm not even going to tell you what it is, but just watch this clip.
I didn't come here for the bromance. I came here for followers.
I'm like shaking right now.
I didn't come here for the bromance. I came here for followers. Avery, break this down
Incredible.
for me.
I feel that. I mean, at least he's being honest. But who knows? This could be just some crazy edit because we didn't even see his face. We just heard the voiceover when it got to that part. But I mean, very blunt if he did say that. And I'm not gonna say I dislike that because of the honesty. Like, I get where he's coming from. A lot of people do that, and at least he's honest about it. But I think Katie, if she was to hear that, she'd definitely have a problem with that.
Yeah, but maybe it's
Yeah,
like
I-
edited, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, yeah, let's watch it one more time and then we can see.
It is.
Because it might sound like two different guys. So let's just watch it again and then I want to get your take, Gabby.
Okay.
I didn't come here for the bromance. I came here for followers.
I'm like shaking right now.
No, that sounded like the same guy, I think. Gabby, what do you think?
I feel like they wouldn't throw this to us if it was like a spliced together clip, but it is pretty like shocking. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I definitely, when I first heard this, thought he was gonna say, you know, I didn't come here for the bromance. I came here for Katie. Like, that's a classic line that the contestants say, but that was not the case. If this is, you know, a clearly a soundbite that was coming from one guy, so assuming he wasn't saying that with Katie in the room, probably just to some other guys, and then they got, you know, upset about that. Probably brought it to Katie's attention because who wouldn't? And then she, I'm sure, got upset about it. In this clip right here where we're looking at Katie in the green dress, this is the same one in another promo where she's like, if you're not here for me, like, there's the door, leave. So I don't know if those are exactly the same situation where, you know, that's the reason she says that, but they're sort of making it seem that way. So it definitely might be.
Yeah, it could possibly be like somewhat edited. You know, the second part did sound a little bit deeper, but like, who would admit that out loud? Or maybe he was saying it in like an interview, or was he just telling all of the guys? Like, if he's telling all the guys that he's here for followers, and we don't even know which guy it is because that clip happened so fast. But if he's telling all the guys, like, why would he tell all the guys? That's obviously going to get back to Katie. And doesn't everyone go on the show for followers? Isn't that like in the back of everyone's mind that they might get a little bit of clout,
That's
get
the
that verified check
unspoken
mark?
thing, right?
Yeah, it's the unspoken rule, but you don't say that out loud. You're supposed to pretend that you want to fall in love. Duh. I have no idea. But, you know, this season is going to be dramatic, and there is apparently an ambulance coming in. Katie is having a meltdown. This season's going to be one for the books. So we have one more clip to kind of round up what you guys can expect from this season of The Bachelorette. So let's play that clip.
I mean, this is just insane.
I'm done. Someone booked my flight home.
Avery, are you going to be booking Katie's flight home, and will it be first class?
Of course she gets first class, but she just has to get over that bump in the road. You know, I feel like every lead goes through a couple breakdowns and meltdowns. And the ambulance is so expected. I was anticipating to see one of these in the promos. I feel like it's just a part of Bachelor Nation. We get one every season. I wonder what this injury could possibly be, because it really is never that severe. It's just a couple little scratches during a group game. So this should be fun.
It's probably a broken heart, right?
Oh,
Right.
I was going to say that too. I was thinking that.
No, well,
There's always
we'll
an
have to see.
ambulance. Well,
There's
I
always
can
an
remember in the
ambulance.
past. Yeah, I can remember in the past, David, who was on Becca's season, he fell off a bunk bed, and then the ambulance had to come, and he actually did hurt himself. And then there was that girl, Kelsey, on, I believe it was Chris Soul's season. She needed an ambulance, and then Tiara needed an ambulance like 4 times on Sean Lowe's season because she fell
Tiara.
down the stairs. Remember Tiara? And then she did the water polo plunge.
Yeah.
So there is always an ambulance, but sometimes it's like not serious at all, and sometimes it is. It depends if there's like that wrestling fight. You know how they always do like a wrestling fight like on the second episode every single season? So
Mhm.
Yeah,
it
and
could
then
be
someone gets
something like
hurt.
that. Yeah. So, but it also could be a broken heart, like you said, Gabby. I don't know. Do you guys have like a favorite group
Yeah.
date that they do every year though? Because now I'm like reminiscing. They do like the wrestling date, like they go on stage. Is there any like specific date type that you guys like to watch?
I like the ones that call for them to like do something creative, whether it's like go on stage and come up with a song, or the one where they like made art and they had to explain what it was about. I just like to see what like they could come up with under pressure, like very last minute, because then you get to see more of their personality and how they do in like those hard situations that are just like crunch time, all the pressure's on you, and sometimes like the best things come out of those.
Yeah, I agree. I like hate the ones where it's like a competition. Like I think Matt's season, they were all wearing wedding dresses, then they had to like
Mm-hmm.
it was like
Ooh.
capture the flag or like fight, or like then they were covered in paint. It's just like that none of the girls even talked to Matt that day. Like what was even the point of this date, you know? So I honestly hate those ones, but
I love the races. But remember last season, the whole controversy was the dodgeball, the naked dodgeball. Those are some of the
Oh,
dates that
yeah.
I like to watch, you know, when they do the stripping scenes and they get on stage. So I'm just really looking forward to this season. And I want to remind you guys that we are going to be taking questions and reading your comments. So put them in the live chat right now because we will be getting to them shortly. But before we do that, I do want to talk about this Instagram post that Katie put up this morning, giving us more detail on what we can expect this season. Katie captions her photo, "As I reminisce about my journey to find love, I can't help but get in my feels. You all are about to meet an incredible group of men with fascinating stories to tell. The vulnerability and strength these men show throughout our time together is something I'll cherish forever. They each hold a special place in my heart. That all being said, I am protective of them. I remember being on their side of this journey, being in the public eye for the first time, reading what people thought. Please remember to stay kind in this. You'll only get to see a glimpse of how extraordinary they really are. I can't wait for you to meet them." That was deep, and that was honestly really sweet. That kind of lets me know that she has nothing but respect for every single guy on the show. So what are your thoughts on that, Gabby? Isn't that like super sweet, or do you have a different opinion?
no, yeah, I love that. I don't even remember other like Bachelor leads making
Mm-hmm.
a post like this. It's kind of pulls back the curtain a little bit and saying, don't be mean, because everyone's just going to be, you know, roasting these guys or having fun on Twitter because they're basically just characters in the story to us. But she's sort of telling us, you know, these are real people. They're trying to just live their lives. So be kind to them. I don't know if, you know, the Twitter trolls are going to listen to Katie, but it's nice that she put this out there, especially for the guys who are going to be watching the season back, probably, you know, went home early. I haven't talked to Katie in a long time. It seems like she's still, you know, has positive thoughts and good vibes for all of them.
Yeah.
No, I agree
Yeah,
with
Avery,
you. I
yeah,
feel
same.
like, of course, this was very well said. Like, I feel like everything Katie says is well said, but it's sad that she has to kind of put this out there before, but she knows what happens once this show starts airing and once Twitter starts, it doesn't stop. And do I think this will make a difference? No, but it was nice. It was very sweet.
But are you gonna roast the guys this season, Avery, or are you gonna take it easy on them?
Oh, I'm gonna roast them. Isn't that what I'm here
Exactly.
for?
That's
But
exactly
like, you know,
all
there's
you're
there's a
here
thin
for.
line between like hate and like fun. You know, you go on a show and people have to expect to be picked on a little, but I'm not gonna completely just drag them. But yeah, there's gonna be some roasting.
Yeah, it's a show that you go on, and it's a very lighthearted show. Yes, they're finding love, so it is serious and deep, but it is a lighthearted show. We got a bunch of characters. I think it's fun to roast the guys, but obviously don't take it too far. So we'll see how the internet reacts to all of these guys. They do not know what they're getting into. Obviously, entering into the public eye definitely can seem overwhelming. So I appreciate Katie's message. I really think that she is very humble and sweet. And she seems just so normal. She really seems like the girl next door. And as we're getting closer to her season, I'm really starting to like her a lot more. But now it is time for a Q&A. We want to hear your questions. We want to hear your comments. We want to hear your opinions. This is all of your time. Whoever is listening to sound off, let us know what you think of these men, of Katie. We talked about Peter and Kelley, Matt and Rachael. Any Bachelor opinions are welcome. So whenever you guys have your comments and questions, put them in. This is honestly one of my favorite parts of the live. And we have our first comment from Natalie. She says, I'm liking Bennett over Peter right now. I think Bennett should do some acting in a Hallmark movie or play Superman. Bennett over Peter. Honestly, I might like Peter over Bennett. I just can't stand Bennett.
Oh.
Avery, who do you like more?
That's really hard. I can't stand either
Really
of them,
hard.
but at the end of the day, you know, Bennett, I was going to say Bennett's more mature, but after he handled the whole Noah situation, like, no, he's not. He's puts on more of a show. So I feel like I like Bennett better just because I've had bad blood for Peter way longer. But I do agree he's a perfect, like, Hallmark or even one of those like Lifetime movies. He could definitely he has the face for those.
For sure.
He has the face,
For
but
sure.
he doesn't have the acting skills. Like if you've seen any of his videos, they're very
Right.
cringe.
For sure.
Oh, but we do have someone who would watch the movie.
Yeah, Avery, why don't you take this one?
Alora said, I'd watch that Hallmark movie. You know, I would too, just to cringe and probably pick fun at Bennett, but I don't know if he'll get casted in something like that now that you bring up his acting, Gabby. But then again, the Hallmark movies, you don't have to have that much range. So we'll
That's
see.
true. That's
Bennett, if you're watching, maybe give it a try.
Do you guys remember what Bennett does for work? I can't remember his job, what he did.
He's like a financial
Other than his
consultant
new-
or something.
Oh, okay.
Works with money.
Financial
for sure.
consultant. Other than his loafer company, which we talked about earlier in the live. Gabby, what is Teddy telling us?
Teddy says, do you think Blake could be the F1? I remember Nick made it to Caitlin's F2. Oh, final one.
Yeah.
I think that Blake could definitely get very far because I think they're going to really hit it off. So maybe not final one, but my guess for Blake would be like top 5 at the least. What about you guys?
Yeah. I think that he'll make it to the top 6. When I read F1 too, I was like, aren't those like keyboards? You know, on the keyboard, there's like F1, F2. I'm like, which setting is this? I think that Blake will definitely make it to the top 6. And one of the reasons why everyone thinks that they're going to get along is because Katie showed up with the vibrator on night 1. And then on that date on Tayshia's season, when everyone created clay, Blake created a eggplant emoji in clay. So that is like the correlation and why everyone thinks that everyone is shipping Blake and Katie. Do you have a ship name for Blake and Katie, Avery? And what are your thoughts on their relationship?
Cake.
A name?
Cake. Yes. Hashtag cake.
That's
Cake.
cute.
My thoughts.
No, that's cute. That's perfect.
That is really cute.
That's on brand
Sometimes
too.
people try to do it and it doesn't work out, and like that actually sounds cute. So maybe it's meant to be. I don't know, guys. But I feel like they both have a sense of humor. I don't know if it's like the same sense of humor, but like I know Katie is definitely looking for something like that in a guy. So I agree with both of you. Top 5 or top 6. I feel like we'll definitely see him there.
Yeah, for sure. He'll make definitely. B Bean says, "Can I get a prediction from each of you? How for Matt and Rachael? 12,
Ooh.
24, or 36 more?" You know what? If you asked me like 3 weeks ago, I would have said that Matt and Rachael were going to end their relationship by the end of the year. But after actually like listening to that clip on the podcast that he was on and seeing that they're moving in together and this whole ultimatum, part of me is honestly really thinking that Matt and Rachael might make it for the long haul. Like they actually seem inseparable and in love. And I don't know if it's just a honeymoon phase, but my prediction is that they're in it for real. So I'm kind of shipping them right now. Avery, what about you?
Yeah, same with you. Like, if you would ask me 3 weeks ago, I'd be like, yeah, there's no telling what they're going to do. But now I definitely think they're in it for the long haul. They had their honeymoon phase, but then they had some of the hardest times, like, you could go through in a relationship. And now they're back in the honeymoon phase. So I feel like they're definitely here to stay. And moving in with someone is a huge commitment, and rent, that's like you have another year to like re-sign your lease or whatever. So I feel like they're in it for the long run for sure.
For me, I don't know. I don't fully think that. I think the moving in part makes me think they might, last for a while. But my guess, like number wise, would honestly be like 6 to 12 months. I feel like so much life stuff is going to happen like in the next few months of them, I don't know, changing careers, or like everything's going to be, since quarantine's like pretty much ending now, everything's opening up. They're both going to be really busy. I don't know if it's going to work out past, like 6 months or a year. So that's what I think.
Well, we wish the best for them. Laura says, I'm loving Zachary's take on Bachelor in Paradise. Thank you, Laura. I am so excited for Paradise. I was so upset last summer when we didn't get Paradise because it seems like the obvious show where you can quarantine people since they're stuck in that villa. So I was so upset that we didn't get Bachelor in Paradise. So I'm really excited to have it back. And I promise you guys, Bachelor in Paradise is going to be crazy this season because I saw Katie, the Bachelorette, comment about it. She said that BIP is going to be huge. So that is a good indicator that there will be a lot of Bachelor in Paradise contestants and drama. Avery, are you a huge Bachelor in Paradise fan?
Yes, I love it because it's just way less serious. We get all the characters in one building, and you never know what's really going to happen. And it's crazy to see who ends up together at the end, and just it's even more drama. I love the drama. I love the silliness of it all. I just can't wait for a new Bachelor in Paradise. I feel like it's been a while. We really need one. So I know we're going to get it soon, but I'm especially excited more than ever for this one.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, I think
Gabby, take this one.
Okay, yeah. I think Hannah G and Dylan is like my top favorite couple to come out of Bachelor, like of all time, because they're just so adorable, and they, got engaged on Paradise. So that's why I have so much faith in Paradise, and I love watching it. All right. Terrence here says, I feel like ultimatums have a negative connotation. They definitely do. It sort of forces the person to make a tough decision, whether you're going to agree with your significant other and who you're trying to work something out with, or you're going to go the other way. But it kind of shows, in this case, it shows Rachael that Matt is really serious about it because he had to, choose her over everybody else, essentially. So then that gives her more comfort in the fact that, okay, like he made this tough decision and chose me, so we can move forward.
Yeah, and I think an ultimatum was very important in their relationship because they really went through a lot. The entire country like turned on Rachael, and then they turned on Matt. So I think that this ultimatum just showed their commitment. Usually with like ultimatums, we see the wife or the fiance like be like, you have to give me a ring by this time or we're breaking up. That's usually what I think of when I hear the word ultimatum. But in this scenario, it was actually a different situation. And I do want to remind you guys that Matt never ended up proposing to Rachael on the finale of The Bachelor last season. So these two have never even been engaged, which is kind of reverse than all these other Bachelor couples. So Avery, do you have a prediction, since you're on the same page with me about these two? Do you have a prediction when you think they're going to get engaged?
I don't think it'll be anytime soon because, like you said, Gabby, like things are opening up again. Life is pretty much starting again, and there's going to be so much activity going on in their lives, probably more than ever. So I think they're just going to have to like roll with the punches. And then, look at JoJo. It took them 5 years, but for good reason. I feel like if they're solid enough and they know where they stand, they don't have to like push an engagement deadline. I think they're just going to play it out, and when the time is right, it'll come.
Yeah. Every relationship is different. Some relationships take like 7 years or 10 years before they get engaged. Some couples get engaged within 3 months. Some couples get engaged within 10 days. Claire and Dale, cough, cough. And some couples just never get engaged. They just kind of date for the rest of their lives. So yeah, so that's pretty much all we have for you guys today. Do you guys want to say anything about Katie's season or what you're looking for to kind of sum up this live? Avery, let's start with you.
I'm looking for a lot of things. I'm excited to see the new hosts. I'm looking for drama, but I'm also looking for hopefully a successful couple at the end of all this, and maybe some new Bachelor Nation favorites as always. I just want it to be kind of like Tayshia's season, where we had so many good things to say about the guys, like especially as the show went on. Like I don't know, it was very good vibes. So I'm just hoping for that again.
I'm really looking forward to Blake showing up, seeing her reaction, how their first date is going to go, like if they're really going to hit it off and how far he ends up going, just because we already know Blake and know how he is a little bit. And I think we're going to get to know him even better because he lasted a long time on Tayshia's season, but kind of wasn't like, just really wasn't feeling it with her. They didn't really have a connection besides being friends, so we didn't get to know him like that much in a deeper like romantic way. So I'm looking forward to that and getting to know Blake a little better.
Yeah, Blake did make it to the top 6 with Tayshia, so I think he'll get along a lot better with Katie, and I'm looking forward to seeing who comes out of that present and what that present is all about, because it doesn't seem like it's going to be Blake. But we will have to tune into The Bachelorette on June 7th, and we will be recapping, talking all about The Bachelorette once it premieres June 7th. So make sure you guys are following us on Shared News. That is all we have for you today, and we want to know your thoughts. So leave your comments down below. Even if you didn't catch the live, still leave your comments, and don't forget to follow our socials. All of our Instagrams are down below, and subscribe and ring the bell because we will be back with more news updates and reactions. I'm your host, Zachary Reality, and today I was joined by Avery Grooms and Gabby Gonta. Our socials are below, so give us a follow and say hello, and we will see you guys next time for more Bachelor tea. So take care, guys. Bye.